Okay, so let's talk about ground strokes. This is the basics of the game of tennis, the fundamentals. Before you can call yourself a player, you need to learn how to the correct forehand and the correct backhand before you even learn how to volley or serve. Simply because you want to have fun, you want to hit a few balls over the net inside the court, and that's how you learn. You get consistent, and then you play better and better players, and then you move to the net and you learn the other elements of the game. The reason that most people prefer to hit a forehand is simple. The forearm, which is this muscle, is much bigger than this muscle. It's much more power and mass here. So it's much easier to hit the ball on this side than to hit the ball on this side. And there's also more control because you have more muscle covering, so there's more control. So most kids learn how to hit a forehand first, and then they get to a backhand and they use two hands. And that is why 90% of the players on earth have two hands, because when they're young, they're too weak to have a one-hander. So then by the time they're 4 or 5, they start playing with two hands. By the time they're 7, 8, they just keep it for life. And then eventually, it's either a good shot or a bad shot. That depends on the coach that you have in the early stages. That's very critical. If you get good instruction, the backhand's actually an easier shot. And we'll go over that a little later. But let's start with a forehand. Like we explained in the first lesson, when we did the footwork part, we did the ready position. The best way to learn a forehand grip is to put the hand here, bring it down, and squeeze with the knuckle, this knuckle, over this layer. Not the wide layer here, the more narrow layer that's right here. The very specific stance. The grip is about the same level as the belly button, but away from the belly button. The non-playing arm is placed gently on the neck, on the higher part of the neck, not here, right here. And this will enable you to keep the elbow away from you. You don't want the elbow crammed into your belly, because you want to hit the ball far from you with a straight arm, extended arm. Okay? So the first thing we do before we hit a forehand is we learn how to turn. Notice I'm not even taking my racket back. I'm just turning my right pocket. Because I'm left-handed, it's my right pocket. If you're a right-handed person, it would be your left pocket. So the first thing is the turn. We have to remember that every shot in the game of tennis is hit sideways. I don't care what shot it is. You name it, you hit it sideways. Serve, return, forehand, backhand, volleys, overhead. Even if you hit an open stance forehand, which I'm going to, I'm open stance with my feet, but notice my hip and my shoulder. So my racket is on the left side and my elbow is away from me. It's not crammed. This is wrong. This is right. And it all comes from the ready position. If my ready position is here, then it's much more natural for me to turn and bring the racket to this position. Ready position, turn. Ready position, turn. Ready position, turn.